France's ecology minister on Sunday touted the agreement reached at the COP26 climate conference in Glasgow as a compromise. The United Nations climate talks ended Saturday with a deal that for the first time targets fossil fuels as the key driver of global warming, despite last-minute objections from coal-reliant countries. While the agreement won applause for keeping alive the hope of capping global warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius, many of the nearly 200 national delegations said they'd wish they'd come away with more. There was last-minute drama as India, backed by China and other coal-dependent developing nations, rejected a clause calling for the phase-out of coal-fired power after a huddle between the envoys from China, India, the United States, and European Union. The clause was hurriedly amended to ask countries to phase down their coal use. Sudanese security forces arrested the bureau chief of Qatari-based Al Jazeera TV, the network said on Sunday, a day after the latest crackdown on anti-coup protesters left at least 6 dead. It was one of the bloodiest days since Sudan's latest coup took place almost 3 weeks ago, provoking international condemnation and regular protests by Sudanese upset at the derailment of a transition to full civilian rule in a country which has seen very little of it since independence. Al Jazeera said on Twitter security forces raided the house of the bureau chief in Sudan and detained him. The network has given prominent coverage to demonstrations against the October 25th coup. Tunisian police clashed with protesters near the chamber of the suspended parliament on Sunday as demonstrators marched against President Kais Saied's seizure of political power 4 months ago. Hundreds of police had blocked off the area where thousands of protesters were gathering to demand that Saied restore parliament and normal democratic rule. Increasingly vocal opposition, along with a looming crisis in public finances, may pose a new test of how Tunisia's president and the new government he has appointed will tackle threats to their authority. Saied seized nearly all powers in July, suspending the parliament and dismissing the government in a move his critics called a coup before installing a new prime minister and announcing he could rule by decree. Officials in Warsaw said Sunday dozens of migrants have been detained after crossing into Poland from Belarus, warning of a possible larger breakthrough ahead of an EU meeting to widen sanctions on Belarus. Police said on Twitter that 50 migrants had crossed the heavily guarded EU and NATO border, quote, by force on Saturday. They were all later detained, a border guard said, adding that they could see signs of a, quote, bigger attempt at crossing the border on Sunday. Thousands of migrants from the Middle East are camped out on the EU-Belarus border, creating a standoff between the EU and U.S. on one side and Belarus and its ally Russia on the other. Western countries accuse Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko's regime of deliberately engineering the crisis by encouraging migrants to come to Belarus and then taking them to the border. Belarus denies the charges and blames the West. Afghan residents on Sunday asked the government to ensure security in the country after a bomb attached to a passenger minivan exploded that killed and wounded several people. The blast happened in a heavily Shiite area of the Afghan capital Kabul on Saturday and caused panic among the Shiite residents who suffered a lot of attacks by ISIS in recent years. A recent spate of such attacks has heaped more pressure on the Taliban rulers who took power following the collapse of the Western-backed government in August and are also grappling with the economic crisis and potential famine. One Taliban official said 6 people had been killed and at least 7 wounded in the blast. The area is heavily populated by ethnic Shiites who have been the target of repeated attacks by Islamic State militants. More than 100 people were killed in attacks in Shiite mosques in the northern city of Kunduz and the southern city of Kandahar last month.
Hi, thank you for watching. I hope the videos are useful for you. Please subscribe to my channel using the button below.